What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the bowl season sneak peek episode. I'm Stucky, and joining me as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Colin Wilson. A little early this year because we have a bowl game on Saturday. We'll talk a little Army Navy. We'll talk the first two bowl games. We'll talk the one on Saturday night and the one on Tuesday. And then we'll have our official bowl season part one, which will come out next Tuesday, December 17th. Friday, December 20th will be part two. Part three, Monday, December 23rd. Part four, December 26th. The 28th, we'll do the quarterfinals. December 30th, we'll do part five. January 7th, we'll do the semifinals. And then we'll have our final episode of National Championship Preview. So lots more to come. A lot more time to find some winners. But we wanted to get on here. Also, we're going to preview the first two bowls, talk some Army Navy, and then we're going to give out our couple favorite favorites, couple favorite underdogs. We'll also hear from the group of five guys on theirs to help you out with your pools, early betting, things of that nature. Uh, my bowl tracker is up on actionnetwork.com, the Action Network app. I can't even describe to you how much work it is. And it's just work every hour. And I'm doing that anyway, betting, trying to keep up with who's out, and it's as crazy as ever. So make sure you check that out because things are going to change from the time we record until the hour after. First let me welcome Colin. And Colin, what's going on, brother? You ready for the craziness of bowl season? You can tell
Yeah,
I'm
and
already
for
a little manic.
yeah, I mean the craziness of bowl season, we got a bowl on the day of Army Navy, which means the bowl confidence piece has to get extremely fast tracked and rushed. It's already in progress. It's Tuesday. I expect to finish it tonight. Hopefully out by Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully everybody has enough time to fill those out. I'm going to do the best we can here because the portal is wide open. It is crazy right now. And the thing stuck about the portal is we have people going at thousands of players in it, and we don't know if they're going to play or if they're not going to play. We're even going to talk about games today where players are in, could play, won't play. You have to check their Twitter and see what their meaning is, right? Like we have players that are commenting on being in the portal, but I would like to run one more time, right? This is going to be wild. You and I are going to be very busy over the next few days, but let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I mean, like a perfect example of that is one of the most underrated players in the entire country. Um, Mike Green for Marshall, defensive end. I mean, he could be like a first round draft pick. He said he like tweeted out, he's like, I ride with Marshall. I will be attending the bowl. Like, so I don't know what that means.
Like on the sidelines, or what are we talking about here?
For what? By the way, just a high level. As of right now, starting quarterbacks that are in the portal, Coastal Carolina got their starter and their backup and their third string down to some freshmen if none of them play.
Right.
Veltkamp just went in for Western Kentucky and his backup, TJ Finley. Although Helton usually lets the players and the player in the portal play. You remember
Hmm.
Austin Reed played when he was in the portal. Keep that in mind. Marshall, Braxton in there, Pennington in there, Stone Earl in there. They're down to freshmen. Their entire team is in the portal. They don't have a coach. More on that in a second.
There's,
Liberty.
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say
Go ahead.
Bowling Green, like Harold Fannon's gonna play, and then Terrion Stewart gonna play, even though he's in the portal. Like there's players for Bowling Green that are in the portal, but are completely gonna play in their bowl game. So that's another one where it's just crazy.
Yep. I mean, the Marshall, I think I'm up to 12 starters that are in the portal, and they don't have a coach. Liberty, Caden Salter, their starting quarterback. I think it will be Ryan Berger, the App State transfer, who will start there. I can't imagine Salter will play because he's going to get some money. Tulane, Mensa in the portal. Fresno, Mikey Keene. Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold. Washington State, Mateer, I don't think is officially in there yet, but he's expected to go. Duke, a surprise there. Malik Murphy, and then one of their backups is out. I think they'll be back to Bellin because Murphy confirmed he will not play for Duke, which was surprising to me.
Yes.
North Texas, uh, they're down to I think Mestamaker, a freshman. JMU, their quarterback's hurt. Looks like they're going to go Billy Atkins. I think what is he, the Southern Miss transfer? Louisiana, I don't know if Fields got carted off. Woodward was already hurt. I don't Woolridge, excuse me, was already hurt. I don't know if he'll be ready. Virginia Tech, their quarterbacks are hurt. That's just a little taste. Also, you have teams with no coaches still. Maybe Ohio, because let me take that back. if you go back over the past 2 years with all this portal activity, if you look at teams that don't have coaches, that lost their coaches, playing a team that didn't lose their coach, 0-9, 2-7 against the spread. Last year, 0-5 straight up, 0-5 against the spread, and these games aren't even close. Oregon State, remember Oregon State against Notre Dame? And Notre Dame didn't even play anybody. Remember Purdue against LSU? What did they lose? 66-7, I think. Tulane last year gets destroyed, 41-20.
Mhm.
JMU, even though they had guys play, they lost and didn't cover, lost by 10. Who else is up there? Syracuse, remember Syracuse against South Florida? They lost 45 nothing. So these games aren't close. This year, you might be Ohio. The reason I say might is because they did lose their coach, but I don't know what's going to happen with Rich Rod. He might be off to West Virginia, so keep an eye there. UNLV, I think UNLV is a fade. They
Yep.
lost their coach. West
I got
Virginia, we'll talk about that in just a moment.
I got a big one.
Sam Houston State. But it's and they have a ton of guys in the portal, but it sounds like they're going to be like JMU, and like a lot of those guys are going to play. TBD. UNC, Freddie Kitchens is going to be the head coach. Mac Brown not coaching in the bowl. We'll see who ends up playing for UNC.
You
Already
mean
mentioned
Belichick?
Marshall.
Belichick's not going to coach the bowl.
And then maybe Liberty, depending on what happens with Chadwell, and then maybe Tulane, but it seems like Summerall saying he's going to stay. But as he said to a newspaper reporter, he said to a reporter, "Hey, if a newspaper's going to triple your salary, you'd probably take it." So you never know there.
Would you like a big one close to home here?
Yeah,
All right, so the entire Arkansas offense, besides Taylon Green, is gone. Patrick Kudus is already in the portal, already committed to Ole Miss.
Armstrong's
Andrew
not playing.
Andrew Armstrong, Isaiah Satania, Luke Haas, all in the portal. Definitely not coming back. Definitely not going to play. It is for one big reason that I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about now, but I can tell you they're not going to play. Taylon Green is going to play as long as Bobby Petrino is there. That total went from 59 and a half up to 60 and a half. And you know what? If everybody was playing Texas Tech, Arkansas in a regular season, that'd be a lot of points. I think we got to reconsider now because there's a massive issue with targets of Taylon Green, and they are not going to be there. So keep that
How
in
about
mind.
Jackson too? He's probably not going to play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we can play Texas Tech.
Especially if Travis Williams decides to take a head coaching job somewhere. But that's, I mean, he's got offers, but we're
Can
gonna
I
find
get a
out.
three here? Yeah, there's
It's
threes
wild.
out
It's
there.
wild.
I'm going to take this three right now.
I think you should because there's some massive law. And Jaquindon Jackson's like he's going to it's either the Shrine or the Senior Bowl. I can't remember which one he's going to. I'm not sure if he's going to play in the bowl. So it's
All
not
right,
looking
we got a bowl play right now, right off the bat.
right
I
off
was
the
waiting to
bat.
see because I didn't think any of those guys were going to play.
Mm-mm.
Um, and you also have your pass rushers.
Yep, Landon
Maybe they
Jackson's
sit out,
medically, yeah, medically Landon Jackson's not going to play. Defensive interior's gone.
and you
Braxton,
can't stop the pass. So, like, how are
right?
you?
Yeah,
All right,
there's problems.
let's get down on Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm going to join you right now.
Put it on the board. We'll
But
put it on
yeah,
the
put it on the
board.
board. I mean, I know so much, and we will talk about it. I promise in the bowl preview for Arkansas, for that game for December 27th. But right now it's fluid. I know who's not going to play.
I mean, Armstrong's the big one. It's he's
Yeah,
massive. He's going to the NFL. All right, let's give out our favorite favorites and our two favorite favorites, two favorite underdogs. Let's start with the favorites. I'll throw out Army against Marshall. Already mentioned the no coach. I don't. What's the incentive? Like the players apparently like tough. I think a lot of these guys aren't going to play. I mean, you're talking their top receivers, their best running back, all of their best defenders. I don't know if Green's going to play. Like this team is right, and then their quarterback. They're down. They lost their three top quarterbacks. Army, and then so you have the coachless, maybe playerless team playing a service academy who always shows up. I think Army routes them, and anything under 14,
yeah.
honestly. And I'll throw out another favorite. I missed this number. I was so mad. I'm still going to play it some form or fashion. UTSA, I think, destroys Coastal. Team's peaking, played really well down the stretch. Don't think they're going to have too many guys sit out. Coastal is down. I mean, they had injuries too, and the offensive line injuries at linebacker, injuries at safety. Their top corners in the portal. They're and then their quarterbacks, Noah Kim, Ethan Vasco, another quarterback. They're down to a freshman. And here's the thing: you can't run on UTSA. So what's Coastal going to do? I don't know. So UTSA Army
Not liking
for
that,
me.
not liking that Myrtle Beach proximity there for Coastal. No, I agree with you 100%.
Ton of wind maybe could help them, but
Well, for my
that's about
favorites,
it.
I think mine is first a team that you and I have been talking about over the last 2 months. I'm going to take Florida in the Gasparilla Bowl against Tulane. I don't think the Florida Gator players who did not play in a bowl last year are going to be upset about, going across the state and going over and playing in Tampa in this bowl. Tulane, by the way, when I made the bet, I didn't know what John Summerall's future is going to be. He's obviously re-signed. I think he was a candidate for North Carolina. I think he was a candidate for a lot of places. But Mintz is in the portal. He's not coming back to Tulane, so they are going to have to work with a backup quarterback there to get into that. But really, this is motivation for my new favorite head coach in 2025, Billy Napier, overachieving, 7 wins. This team wants to be in this bowl. It's a motivation play. Another favorite of mine, Cal against UNLV. You already mentioned UNLV as a fade. What, Dell Alexander, the interim wide receiver coach? I went and did a little search on Brennan Marion. Is he going to be calling the offense here? No,
Scrub.
wiped his social account completely. So, we'll see who's even playing for UNLV. I'm not sure what Haj Malik Williams is going to do. LA
Ricky
Bowl,
White.
yeah, Ricky White and Mendoza. I cannot get over the fact that he is just balling after they got to 6 wins. This is such a big deal for them playing in Gronk's LA Bowl. Definitely a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I like them as well. UNLV definitely a fade here. So they have you also have Jackson Woodard. They have some D backs who could sit out too. Yeah, and it looks like Marion maybe to Purdue. I don't know where he's going to end up, but it looks like he is on the move. All right, favorite underdogs. Uh, just talked about Texas Tech. I'm going to mention BC. It was a play on team for me. Anything over three is fine. Nebraska, I think, is going to be missing some defensive contributors. I like, and then Nebraska, I lost some defensive coaches and a really good defensive coordinator. I like Bill O'Brien with extra time to prepare. BC really peaking down the stretch. I think they'll be excited to be here. And this projects as a close game. What do we know? Nebraska can't win close games. Uh,
And Dylan Raiola possibly seeking
yeah, he was out there
greener
practicing today. He
pastures.
did on Instagram. He put on like go big red. So I don't know, but he might just be trying to get leverage. That's like, but I don't know if Miami comes with a huge bag.
Is he
Who
going to
knows?
UCF? Is he going to UCF with Scott Frost?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, but you got to remember, like these kids want to get leverage too.
Yep.
That's part of it. And then I'll throw out. Let's see, we'll get a playoff game. No, Indiana. I like Indiana over a touchdown. I think their run defense can hold up, and then I think the weapons of Notre Dame are more in that stratosphere where Indiana's defensive backs can hold. I've learned all year the strength schedule wasn't great for neither team, but that the Indiana run D is legit,
Yeah.
and that you need to have that against Notre Dame. Give me Signetti extra time to prep here. I think I'll have Indiana ready. I think Notre Dame probably wins, but I think Indiana will make this close. So I make this like 4-6. So
Yeah.
anything over a touchdown is fine for me. And how about you?
Yeah, I like that too, but I want to do a complete deep dive and write up before I get involved on the playoff games. But I know that Notre
The
Dame,
only thing I'm worried about is the left guard for Indiana, which like ruined them against their left guard's out for the year. They have a backup who
right?
started at JMU, but he wasn't good. He has experience, but it was a big drop off, and it showed against Ohio State. And the Notre Dame defense is obviously really good, but I do think a bit overrated. If you look at some of the games, they played some really soft teams, and they obviously can stop they've proven they can stop an option-based attack, but look at the USC game, Georgia Tech with a backup, Louisville, all those teams had success moving the ball.
Yeah, and I actually wanted different matchups for Notre Dame with their rushing attack. I'm not saying that they would have beat Oregon and Penn State, but I would have much rather seen them face those defenses going up the gut than going up against Indiana. So
And
I
there,
do.
then you see the look at line, the favorite at Georgia. I mean, Carson Beck's out, so add another quarterback that's in bowl season that won't be playing.
I can't even. What's the ticket count going to be? 99% both ways handle and ticket count for Georgia. That I mean that one's just going to be fun. Um, Two underdogs I love. One wrote in the script last night and it soured on. You just mentioned Malik Murphy is in the portal for Duke. I wanted to play on Manny Diaz. I wanted to fade Ole Miss more. Fading Ole Miss was something I've been wanting to do all year because that team should be an absolute, in terms of Stuckey, a corpse. We should see the entire team at some point either, like you said, leverage themselves into better deals elsewhere. Jackson Dart, I'm hearing rumors. Plenty of rumors about him not being in this bowl game. The bowl game is so late, January 2nd. It just does not feel like that roster is going to be there in time.
Dart's
Uh,
going to play. Now, Dart's, I mean, he might not. Here's a like,
right,
the crazy thing is that all the top quarterbacks, it's unfortunate for you, Malik Murphy goes in, but all as of
right.
right now, all the top quarterbacks, it looks like they're going to play or they're saying they're going to play. Now, that can change. Like Cam Ward said he's going to play. He could be a top five pick. Shador, all of Colorado players say they're going to play. Now, are they
Right.
going to play the whole game? Or are they just going to play early? Or is an agent going to get in their ear and then they're going to decide not to play? There's also bowl. I think Ole Miss has this, but I'm not positive. But I think that some of the NIL deals are tied contractually to not opting out of the bowl game. So that could be part of it in certain schools and in certain situations. Because Dart and Amos, a corner who's for Ole Miss, who could be a high draft pick, he also came out and said he's going to play. We'll see on their guys on the defensive line. That game's tricky for me because, yeah, now Murphy's out, but Duke should be motivated. The Duke defensive line could have success, but now
This
Does Ole Miss players do they play? How much do they care? And then now you have Murphy out,
right.
and that's a tough one.
If you come in and take a snap, did you fulfill your obligation? Right. I think the thing that I considered also when I did this was this is the number one and number two defensive havoc teams in the nation. I believe Duke's defense is going to not just be present. I think they're going to be more motivated to play in this game. Malik Murphy going into the portal, potentially not playing for Duke, not going to play for Duke, says he's not going to play for Duke. At least that gives Manny Diaz a full month to get a backup quarterback ready for Ole Miss. So that's one good thing. But one team I love already played it. Baylor going up against LSU. Brian Kelly 6-10 against the spread in bowls. Never been a big deal for him when it's not an important bowl. Baylor team we've wanted to play on all season long, hot. And I will say this: Dave Aranda, a little bit of motivation going up against the team that he last coached at. I think that's going to be there. I think this is a big deal to Baylor. I think playing in the Texas Bowl is a big deal for a guy that was right behind Billy Napier. Supposed, get Randa going to be fired to be in this Texas Bowl. I think it's really big for them and for LSU. Season's a complete disappointment. So Baylor for me.
I like Baylor too. Want to get a three there.
It's
It
out
looks like,
there.
yeah, all right. There's a three out there. I like Baylor. I don't know. I don't think Baylor's gonna have anyone opt out. And Portal looks good. They'll
Hmm.
care. LSU, Nussmeier looks like he's gonna play, or so he says as of now. But they have some other guys along the offensive line, defense. A couple guys on defense too. They have one of the receivers at the portal, so they could have some guys that are out. But I agree, Baylor
And
continues to
how
be
well does
undervalued.
Aranda know Nuss? I mean, Aranda was probably before he left after the championship season to take. I mean, he probably was a part of the recruiting process or in the sphere of Garrett Nussmeier back in the day. So I mean, Garrett Nussmeier's been there for a long time, waited his turn.
I agree. I'm going to disagree with you on Florida.
Okay.
You might have to go head to head there. Now, I want this line to keep going up.
Oh,
I just
yeah, and I
think,
got 8, so it's
yeah,
I've
it's a
been more than that.
different story to different number. But
Right.
I think if I can get like 13, 14, I don't anticipate Mensa will play. But, their backup has experience coming in. They're a run heavy offense anyway. He has some talent. He was formerly at Oregon. You got enough time to prepare here. What is it? You got 10 days. So you know that he's out. I think, and Summerall stayed, so I think the team will rally. I think we'll have his defense ready. And it's just a running dog that plays slow in a bowl game. I think Florida's a little too rich right now, especially if it keeps trickling up. But agree on all the other ones that you said.
Who's stopping Elijah Badger? Come on now.
Will he play though? He could
Yeah,
opt out.
I hope.
So
DJ
don't
Ladd.
say that. He might stop himself. First, actually, let me throw it to Mike and Mike for their bowl picks to help you guys with your pools.
All right, it's bowl confidence pool season, so let's go ahead and give you our top moneyline favorites and our top 2 dogs that can really help you catapult to the front of the line. Let's start with the moneyline favorites. South Carolina in the Cheez-Its Bowl against Illinois. This is a team on the rise for me with a young quarterback who's been locked in. He's been getting better and better. And I think he's going to use this Cheez-It Bowl. Don't laugh. He's going to wake up the morning after. He's going to feel both the cheesiest and he's going to feel like a Heisman candidate going into 2025. When Illinois played against athletic defenses this year in Penn State and Oregon, they mustered just 16 points. South Carolina is one of the few teams in the entire country in the top 10 in both coverage and pass rush. They're going to swarm Luke Altmaier in this game, and the Gamecocks win it going away. For my second moneyline favorite that I really like, give me the Florida Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl against a Tulane team that is deflated after getting absolutely stomped in the AAC title game on the road against Army. Really down the stretch, they had an opportunity to play their way into the college football playoff. They fail against Memphis. Then they have a national embarrassment against Army. Oh, and by the way, their quarterback hit the portal. So let's make this a double dip of SEC favorites. Billy Napier saved his job this year, and I would say, despite the brutal schedule, he proved that he's a really good coach, and there was an opportunity for him, had he had an easier schedule, probably get to double-digit wins. So you're getting great value on a team that is on the rise with another quarterback. I mentioned Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. Go ahead and look at DJ Lagway and what he's done as a downfield passer. I think he's going to be able to hit some big plays in this game, and that'll be the difference against a Tulane team that's going to be reeling without their starting quarterback. So give me the Gators and the big advantage at quarterback.
Give me Army over Marshall in the Independence Bowl. Service academies are almost an autoplay in bowl season. Army's always going to show up and care about bowl games. They're 4-1 in bowl games under Jeff Monken, and their only loss was a 3-point loss to West Virginia.
All right, now it's time for my moneyline dogs. This is really where you can swing from back of the pack to the front of the line because people put too much emphasis and tie too much of a correlation between the point spreads and their confidence point. I'm not saying you need to go big, but going contrarian in these spots can really make the difference in your confidence pools. Let's start with Louisiana going up against TCU. I like them to upset the Horned Frogs here, and it's all because of Ben Woolridge and his availability. He was the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, and he's rumored to be returning as the starter for the Raging Cajuns. In back-to-back games this year against Tulane and on the road against Wake Forest, he accounted for 8 total touchdowns. That's his ceiling. And not only is that his ceiling, but he also elevates the entire ceiling of this Raging Cajun offense. I think this offense has juice with him as their QB1. And the New Mexico Bowl played at altitude. We've seen crazy upsets, 4 in the last 10 years with a lot of late game theatrics. I'm always down for some weird things to happen in Albuquerque, particularly when you're back in the underdog. For my last one, it's also the last bowl game in terms of minor bowls for the entire year on January 4th. Give me Buffalo over Liberty in the Bahamas. I love backing first-year head coaches during bowl season because teams sense that they have an opportunity to build momentum, brick by brick, going from year one, in some cases a year zero situation, not for Pete Lembo. He comes in with Buffalo. They exceed expectations. They go a 5.5 win total. They win 8 games this year, 3 as an underdog with the outright upsets. I think they make it 4 in this game against the Liberty Flames team that is limping into this game without their starting quarterback, Caden Salter, who is off for NIL riches and the portal. He's going to be running into a lot of money and a lot of offers. What his offense is going to be running into in this game is a really stout Bulls running defense. Sean Dolak, Defensive Player of the Year in the MAC, the second Bull to do so, the first since Khalil Mack. And Red Murdoch, these guys are tackling machines. They're going to put this offense into a locker, and I think the Bulls are going to pull out an ugly one. Let's call it 17-16.
For my 2 favorite moneyline underdog picks, I'm going with Baylor over LSU in the Texas Bowl. Similar to Calabrese, I'm going with a team that greatly overperformed expectations. Everybody thought Dave Aranda would be fired this season, and instead Baylor went 8-4. They finished the season with 6 straight wins. Their offense completely took over under Sawyer Robertson. The Bears finished averaging 35 points per game. Robertson threw 26 touchdowns on the year. They finished 22nd in the country in offensive success rate, and they should be able to have success against this leaky LSU defense that continues to struggle at defending the pass. And for my second pick, I'm going with South Florida over San Jose State in the Hawaii Bowl. Ever since San Jose State started switching up their quarterbacks, the offense has kind of struggled. San Jose State scored 33.5 points with Emmett Brown under center, but they benched him halfway through the year for some reason, and they finished with 21.5 points per game under Walker Eggett. I'm not sure why they made the switch. Nick Nash has been their entire offense. He's a star, but he's NFL bound. He's a candidate to opt out. Spartans can't run the ball at all. I just don't trust their QB situation, and Nick Nash is their entire offense. South Florida had a disappointing year, but Bryce Archie really started to settle in towards the back half of the year. They won 4 of their final 6 games. They have a ton of talent at the skill positions, 3 good running backs, so they can afford an opt-out or two, and they just have a really good coaching staff. Alex Golish can scheme whoever he wants open, and as a little added bonus, quarterback Byron Brown is practicing again. There's at least a chance he returns for this game, which would be a huge bonus for them. But either way, I think South Florida should be the favorite here. So give me the Bulls in Hawaii.
All right, let's get to the first 2 bowl games that we're going to cover today. Let's start, and then we'll get to Army Navy to close things out. Let's start with the IS4S Salute to Veterans Bowl, Saturday, 9 Eastern on ESPN. South Alabama, 7.5 point favorite, down from 10.5. Total, down to 57.5. There is some portal news here at Western Michigan, like their tight end who's really good. I think is going to play at the next level, their best defensive end. South Alabama, I could see their top receiver sitting out. Their top corner, I believe, is in the portal. Their running back, Bothwell's in the portal. So there's some key guys worth monitoring here. I took Western Michigan. I would take them at 7 or above, but it's a speculation play. I would not like Western Michigan if Gio Lopez is playing. There's no news on him. It's not like he's in the portal. But I watched with my own eyes him limp off the field. They were holding crutches next to him. And I don't think he's going to play. If he doesn't play, and it's Bishop Davenport, I think Western Michigan is the side. Even if Lopez plays, I think that there's a chance that Western Michigan's offense could keep up with South Alabama. But if it's the backup here, I think Western Michigan after last season will be excited to be here. I think South Alabama might have had bigger aspirations. By the way, this game is in Montgomery, Alabama, so a little bit of an advantage for South Alabama. I did say I would talk about every location. I've never been to Montgomery. Cool historical town. I mean, it's the start of where the Civil War started, and it's also the origin of the Civil Rights Movement. So you got that dichotomy there and all the history around those 2 events. I think if you want to go there, you want to go down to like the riverfront, a nicer place to eat. It looks like Central. I wanted to go to this place. It looks like just off the beaten path, Capital Oyster Bar. Looks like you could get like good fried oysters, fried okra, and there's like a deck. It looks like it would be good. I don't know. Never been there. Do you know anything about Montgomery?
Yeah, I passed through there during college on my way to Florida. So, but I haven't been there since they've updated the Crampton Bowl, which was they've dumped $10 million in it in about 2010 and got Camellia Bowl. So that is what this is, the Camellia Bowl. So it is a very historic city. I love fried gizzards, chicken necks, all that good Southern food that you can get. It's there in Montgomery.
All right, so I'm a speculation play for Western Michigan here. What do you got?
I'm the other way. I took a bad number with South Alabama. It was kind of.
I tried to tell you that Gio Lopez might be out.
Yeah, and then I did a little bit of handicapping, and then we had a couple more portal hits, and now I would still say I would take South Alabama at 7. And I just cannot get over how Western Michigan really faltered down the line in the MAC. They lost 3 of their last 4. They needed to win against Eastern Michigan at the end. They beat them by 1 possession. And when you look at this Western Michigan defense, it is horrific. I mean, they're just outside the top 120 and everything, especially in defensive finishing drives. Transfer portal took a hit. You've already mentioned it. They're on the defensive line of their 4-2-5. Edge Corey Walker led the team with 25 pressures. Gone. Defensive interior Ontario Thompson exclusively played in passing downs. 206 snaps. He had 16 pressures, one of the highest on the team. But the team is just absolutely horrific when it gets down into scoring position. Opponents have been going crazy down there. Plus, they can't defend zone read. And that is exactly what South Alabama does on offense. Now, you mentioned Lopez isn't going to be there. So you're going to go to quarterback Bishop Davenport. And if you look at Davenport's limited
I don't know for sure, by
time,
the way, on Lopez. He could play. It's just my...
And he could. But the handicap for me came down to, can Davenport run the zone read offense with Kentrell Bullock? Now, there's Kentrell Bullock, and then there's Fluff Bothwell, right? Now, Bothwell is absolutely the explosive stick of dynamite that can bust out on you anytime. But Kentrell Bullock, 3.9 yards after first contact. He is the workhorse. He is the one that moves the chains. And Davenport's had 141 yards on the ground and 36 rushing attempts that were designed. They weren't scrambles. So the guy can run zone read, and that is something Western Michigan absolutely cannot defend. So even with some of these, portal exits, the big names for South Alabama, there's still an advantage here for the Jags to get the ground game going. Now, Jamal Pritchett is a wide receiver you talked about. He's still listed as a go. I just checked his Twitter before we got on here. He is their slot receiver, 119 targets, 9 receiving TDs. He was just announced to the All Sun Belt team. Plus, by the way, punt return TD this season. He is a force. He is a weapon on special teams. Huge finishing drives here, top 10 for South Alabama. Of course, a lot of that goes back to Lopez, goes back to Bothwell, so we'll see. But the Western Michigan offense, you want to diagnose what's happened in the last month. Why is this team losing so many games in the MAC when they were kind of challenging to get into the MAC championship game through the end of October? And, for some reason, their running back all of a sudden wasn't as good. They had to bring in Jalen Buckley and Zahir Abdus-Salam. They have 11 combined TDs, and they both went over 100 yards against Eastern Michigan in the finale. But this team has been horrible when they get into the red zone. One of the worst marks, I believe they averaged like 1.5 points in scoring opportunities over the last month. I just don't see a way for Western Michigan, who, yes, can move the ball down the field, but they have really struggled in scoring position. You get on the other side, zone read just can't be stopped. This Western Michigan defense is pretty bad. So I do like South Alabama. I'd still take them at 7. I would guess if it goes below that, it's a Pritchett at wide receiver opting out. I would guess it's a Lopez. So you have to ask yourself, Stuck, I make this game 12.
Yeah, I do have Pritchett as a potential opt-out. That would be a big loss.
Right. So at 12, Stuck, without Lopez, Fluff, and Pritchett, what do you make the game then if it's just Bishop Davenport and Kentrell Bullock running zone read? For me, I think 6.5 is a buy on South Alabama. It could be, maybe it's worth more, but that's where I kind of made it. So I'll back South Alabama. If you want to put it on the board at 7, since you like 7.5,
7.
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, let's go to the second bowl game. Memphis, West Virginia in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl on Tuesday night, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Memphis 3-ish point favorite, total 58.5. For those that follow us on the app, we were podcasting together when this was out, and I said, this is a bad line.
Yeah.
We both put it in the app, so hopefully some of you got that. I think it was at 3 books. It was available at the time. I still like Memphis. Anything under 3 in your pools, even at 3, I like Memphis. West Virginia, no coach. There are. Oh, I got to talk about Frisco, Texas, by the way, first. Frisco, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. You can go to the PGA headquarters, play golf there, eat at the Ryder Cup Grill.
Yep.
You got to go Hutchins Barbecue and get the brisket.
Yeah, absolutely good stuff. Plus, don't forget you can get some minor league baseball going there. It is also the headquarters, I believe, of Dell. It's also isn't it where our FCS national championship game is played?
Yep.
Frisco is, yeah. I mean, Frisco is kind of getting ahead of Plano is like the suburb to be in of the DFW Metroplex. I agree with you on this game. I don't know how you make a case for West Virginia considering the coaching situation, but it's really the defense Stuck. Like, you're going to have Seth Hennigan and this explosive offense go up against a defense that was 129th in defensive passing success rate, 131st in defensive finishing drives, no pass rush whatsoever, 131st in coverage, and outside the top 100 in creating contested catches. So I don't know where the number starts. And you and I talked about this offline during that podcast.
Memphis can stop the run too. That's the key for me.
Yeah, yeah, and let me, and you and I talked about this, and we'll tell everybody here. Ryan Silverfield was named the interim, went down to the Cotton Bowl, and threw up almost 40 points on James Franklin and Penn State. Since then, he's won every single bowl he's been in. So this will be in the bowl confidence pool. It's going to be. I haven't really assigned it a point value yet, but I like Memphis for a ton of reasons here: offense, defense, coaching, everything.
I agree. And West Virginia has more potential opt-outs. There's their top linebackers in the portal. Wyatt Millam, who could be a first-round draft pick at tackle. Their tight end, center, defensive end. They have a corner, another defensive lineman. They all could opt out. Memphis, maybe Mario Anderson, but I don't see many on Memphis opting out.
And I haven't heard much from the West Virginia offense as far as who will and who won't play. But you mentioned the rush defense, Memphis top 15 in defensive stuff rate and defensive line yards. Both things very key against that West Virginia offense. It runs 60% of the time.
Yep. Yeah, Memphis will give up explosives, which is where West Virginia will take advantage of a couple there, but I like Memphis here. Should we put it on the agree tab?
Let's do it at 3 for everybody.
Okay.
Is that, yeah, that's pretty much consensus here. It looks like we finally got some resistance and some bets came in on West Virginia, but you're right. The portal may not be done, and that could drive it up a little bit even higher. So if everybody can get 3 or better, I'd do that.
All right, and then let's talk some Army Navy. We know we're going to talk here, but Army 6.5 point favorite, total 38.5. It looks like Horvath is going to play. He said he's good to go
hmm
for Navy at quarterback. Army coming off that conference championship. This game, by the way, 3 Eastern on CBS on Saturday, and it will be played in Landover, Maryland. This line is, I mean, Army's taking money, and I just assumed Horvath's going to be out, but he's not. Give me the 7, and I'll take Navy. And we're not in that 33, 34 range. I would lean under. You're going to make a case for the over, but this has come down a little bit. I would have liked it at 40. But I'll be looking for Navy here. The familiarity, this will be a close game. Tends to always be, no matter how good or bad these teams are. I think Army is the better team. They should be favored, but we're getting a little too rich now. I'm looking at Navy. Make your case for the over as you do every year. Is that what you're going to do here?
Listen, I am really tired of being called Commie Wilson for taking overs in the Army Navy game. Okay. The USA likes points. We like explosives, and you should get them here. If anybody has watched the Army Navy defenses this year, have they stopped anyone from running the ball? No, zero, zilch. And guess what? These Army Navy offenses, it's not just lineup and triple option anymore. They're both running 31 personnel, which I didn't even realize how strong it was. It's like Navy's like 80% 31 personnel. Army's like 95% 31. They're putting 3 running backs in the backfield. And Kanye Udo, I mean, him and Bryson Daly right now, they ran all over a top 22 lane rush defense. They average 5.9 yards per carry. They have several concepts: outside zone, man. When they run man, they have an explosive play 1 of every 4 attempts. Navy cannot defend man. Does anybody remember the Notre Dame podcast? Navy, 35% success rate against man. They give up an explosive 15% of the time. When you go to the other side, I mean, the Navy offense under Horvath at one point when they were healthy, they put up 50 burgers against Memphis, against Charlotte. We just talked about the Memphis rush D. Navy put up a 50 burger on them.
Yeah,
They
that's
run
their one blemish. They gave us some exposed to North Texas, but that was their one blemish.
76% rush rate using the Delaware wing T hybrid, Horvath, Braxton Woodson, if he plays, Alex Texa. And, you know, even if Woodson does play 122 yards on the ground against ECU, and Army's 335 has been so poor against the rush. They're bottom 25 in success rate, line yards. Plus, this outside zone is something that now Navy uses on the ground. 38% success rate for Army defending that. They allow an explosive 20% of the time. Remember, Army's defense got exploded on by Notre Dame also. I know this isn't Notre Dame's rush D, and I know it's not Notre Dame's offensive line, but these defenses have been shredded by opposing rush and not just moving the chains from explosives. So, you know, both offenses, top 25 in offensive finishing drives, both offenses, top 5 red zone rushing TD. Opponents using play action on them have generated an explosive pass 1 of every 5 attempts. I'm just not seeing any defense here. These defenses have been horrible in defending the rush, and now these offenses are a hybrid model of what they used to be, creating triple in space. I just wrote it up for action, submitted it. I hope everybody goes out and read it. I like the over. I don't care. 41 is key. Next one's 38. I don't think we're going to get to 38. I like the over no matter what, as long as it's 40.5 or lower. I'd even go head to head with you at 40 since it's not even a line, but I would do it with you if you want. Another thing I wrote in the article, Kanye Udo. 2 TDs against Air Force, a team that is supposed to be able to stop, a service academy that is supposed to be able to stop defensively what Army's going to do. He had 2 touchdowns in that game. He is listed at plus 115 for an anytime TD. I like Kanye Udo, anytime TD. It could be explosive, could be in the red zone. I like Army too. I like them on the side. I don't know if I want to go 7. I will. God, I love it. What did we end? Did we end head to head like straight up even?
6 and 6, yeah.
Put the damn thing on the board. All right.
I need 7. You want to do it at 7?
We are not
And
finishing the season. You know what? Here's the deal. You're going to
I'll give you 38.5 on the total.
Okay, let's do 38.5 on the total, and I'll give you 7 on the spread.
Okay.
These overs are. I don't need overtime this year. These overs are coming with this Army Navy game.
You'll be getting my tweets. Well, I'll be in Cleveland on Saturday, driving up there for the day. You'll be getting my tweets when it's 6-3 at the half. But I don't love the under for some of the reasons you said it. But I do like Navy if I can get 7. Just think it's too rich. That's all.
Also, one last thing. There's a prop out there on Udo going over 120 rushing yards. He did that 5 times this season. It pays plus 450. If these defenses are as bad as you think, that's not a bad wager at plus 450.
All right, shall see how it plays out. I can't wait to watch. It's always a treat. The pageantry, the show. I used to go to them growing up as a kid. My dad would take me. Always a good time. I got the
helmet.
Army Navy helmet here.
Gold, absolute gold. You can take all the helmets, but you can take all like 15 helmets behind me. I trade them for the Army Navy helmet.
So always love that game. We'll find a way to have money on it. Probably on Navy. Go Navy, beat Army. Shout out to, I know, a little listener of the show used to play linebacker at Army who was excited about their win. I was excited for you too. Sorry. I hope Army wins for you. Just doesn't cover. All right, that'll do it for us. Quick bowl sneak preview. Part 1. We'll start to really dive into these games. We'll have a better picture of who's playing, who's coaching,
who's out. Portal.
Insane. It's just going to be more sleepless nights trying to keep up with this. So labor of love though, and we'll try to find some more winners. But hopefully this helped you a bit. Kind of whet your appetite for bowl season. Exciting time of the year. So we'll be back next Tuesday night. Episode will be out for that next round of bowl games, and we'll just keep running it through the end of the season. Exciting part about next week is we'll cover the college football playoff first round games in that episode. So thanks to Colin for joining me. Thanks to our producer on the back end. Thanks to Mike and Mike. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Follow all our picks on the award-winning Action Network app. Leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out. Go to our YouTube channel, BBOC YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe there. Go to our Discord. We're doing a lot of cool stuff in the Discord channel there. Make sure you join there. I'll be doing some stuff in college basketball as well. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you all soon. Cheers.
Peace out.